All right, what's going on, y'all? I'm back at it with another one. And thanks for taking the time to check me out. And thank y'all for subscribing. I appreciate it. So, look, man, some of us out here got our priorities all mixed up. And what I'm talking about is something that I'm pretty sure you've seen by now. The woman who moved from Tallahassee, Florida to Houston, Texas, with her three kids. And then she ended up homeless. Now, I know it's hard for a lot of people out here. But the last thing you want to do is make a situation worse than it needs to be. And when I heard her reason behind doing what she did, I just thought it was unbelievable. So what I'm gonna do is just show you what I'm talking about, in case you haven't seen it, and then just kind of give you my thoughts on the whole situation.
Warming Center in Acres Homes this afternoon. It's one of dozens spread throughout Harris County tonight, giving shelter to those who couldn't find a warm place to sleep.
Get somewhere safe and warm for the night until I'm able to figure out at least how to get home.
Kiara Jones came to Houston from Tallahassee at the start of the new year, chasing after a dream.
This is like one of the biggest populations of the social media influencers. That's kind of my goal, to become a big influencer.
She'd been staying at a motel this month with her
3 little munchkins. I love them. They're so sweet.
But by Monday, she says she'd run out of money.
It just became too much for me after a while.
With temperatures dropping and no place to go, she says she called 911. Police brought her and her kids here.
Yeah, so y'all seen what what the reason why she said that she moved down there, which was to become a social media influencer. So again, Kiara Jones, she moved from Tallahassee, Florida to Houston, Texas at the start of 2024 with her 3 children. And I don't know. I mean, here's my thing. I'm not going to tear anybody's dreams down, right? But when you have these dreams, you have to be realistic and understand that there is a possibility that things may not go the way that you plan for them to go. And you have to be able to kind of factor that into the equation. You have to factor in the possibility of having setbacks, right? You have to ask yourself, what are you going to do in the event that your plan or dream doesn't work out? What are you going to do when, and not if, but when you hit a roadblock? Because you're going to hit a roadblock. Now, in this woman's situation, I think what makes it worse is that there are kids involved. And when children are involved, I mean, the entire landscape of whatever you're trying to do or whatever you're trying to accomplish, that changes. And in a lot of situations, your dreams and aspirations, they take a back seat because those children have to come first. And you got to think about how your decisions will affect them, because you're responsible for their safety and well-being. Now, because she decided to follow this dream, she's now put herself and her children in a very tough spot. And I get it. Yeah, people fall on hard times, but a lot of what I see in so many situations like this is that it's self-inflicted, where we can sometimes be the cause of our own problems. One thing that my mother and father always stressed to me, and it's something that I always remember, is that you may not have anything else, but make sure that you at least keep a roof over your head. And I know rent has gone up, food prices are going up, but you have to prioritize the fundamentals and the basics of food, clothing, and shelter, especially when you got children. There's no way around it. And I know some people, they'll say, well, people just can't afford it. But I mean, what are you going to do? Starve? Live on the streets? Where you have to be constantly worried about your safety and the safety of your children? Because she moved to an entirely different state and city and now is homeless, where, I mean, she went down there, probably didn't know anybody. She may have been or may have not been familiar with the area. And let me tell you something, just from my experience, having moved to a different city and state with my wife and 3 children, you got to have a plan. You have to have a plan. Moving is expensive. And we talking about moving to a different city and state. You're not just moving down the block. And when you move out of state or just anywhere for that matter, you got to think about things like housing, transportation, because public transportation may be available or it may not be available, or it may not be reliable in certain cities and states. And if it isn't, then you have to factor in the cost of getting and maintaining your own vehicle. And that includes car insurance, vehicle registration, so, I just don't understand it. But she's talking about she moved to be a social media influencer, not for a job or to be closer with other family members. She moved to be a social media influencer. Not saying that she can't do it, but it just makes you wonder, like, why couldn't she have, done that where she was? She didn't have to go all the way to Houston, Texas, if that was something she wanted to do. And, it would have been one thing if it was just her, but kids are involved. And I think that's what got to a lot of people, because the kids, they don't have a say or choice in the matter. And I think that situation is going to be something that those kids are going to always remember. And it could lead to some resentment as they get older. Once they, get grown, it could just be one of those things where they're going to bring that situation up and they're going to throw that in her face. And it's going to be like, well, you remember that you had us halfway across the country, in another city, homeless, because you wanted to be a social media influencer. Trying to tell you, man, kids remember that stuff. So just a little something to think about. Hopefully she finds a permanent place to stay, and or maybe she went back to Tallahassee. I don't know. But hopefully, this is a lesson to where she learns this lesson to not have those kids in that situation ever again. So yeah, that's just my thoughts about it. And like I said, just something to think about. So take care, stay safe. Peace, y'all.